Welcome back. As I said at the end of the last segment, we're going to talk about advertising and marketing. But we're also going to throw sales in there. So we've got three concepts that we need to deal with. The advertising aspect of the business is about what is facing the public. In other words, what do they see, how do they see it, when do they see it, and what formats are you doing that in? And that's really important to understand. So let's focus on advertising itself before we move into marketing, which is the development of the advertising, and then we'll talk a little bit about sales, which are driven as a result of the marketing that was created and the advertising that was put out into the public. So let's start at the beginning, when this is focus on the advertising aspect. So we talked about doing your research in the planning section, and that's really important, because when you're doing your research, what you want to understand is, how do you get the attention of your target market? What do you need? What do you need to do so that it gets their attention? Because it's something that they're interested in, because you looked at it carefully to understand what they need, what they're looking for, and what piques their interest. And so it's really important you understand what catches the eye of the target customer, not just any customer. Who are the people that you're targeting, and what is important to them? That's what's going to be put out in your advertising, so that you understand what it is. We're also going to look at it and say, where do you find these people? Because you may pick social media, but then you may look at it and say, well, actually, this group of people, as an example, go to shopping malls. So could we hand out flyers in shopping malls? Could we put an advert into a shopping mall? Things like that. So you want to look at it to say, so how do I increase the scope and breadth of my advertising? And by doing that, what we're looking at is, what are the formats that this works in as well, besides social media, which we'll talk about. What are the formats that work really well here? And could it be paid advertising in a magazine? Could it be a poster that's up somewhere? Could it be on a bulletin board, as simple as that? Could it be a mailer that you're sending out to them because you know that they're interested in that? So there are a lot of things that you've got to look at in terms of the scope of your advertising and where that lands. Now, if you look at, let's look at social media. And if you look at social media, there are a lot of reasons to use it. The important thing is to understand that when you're using social media, there is not a one-size-fits-all, because on each platform, people react and respond differently depending on what you're talking about. So if you're trying to engage people to talk about your product, Twitter is a great place to talk about. It's a great place to have customer service, because people, Twitter is built to have a conversation. Yes, very short conversations, which is perfect, but it's built to have a conversation. Again, though, you want to make sure that when you're having that you've developed the content that you need, and that you get people to respond in the way you need them to respond, which triggers the next thing, which says, well, do I go from Twitter, and now I'm going to go to Facebook, and actually you've got a page there where they can actually make a purchase. The same for Instagram and LinkedIn. Those are very different audiences, and so that you need to look at that. The same as Pinterest. You want to look at all of these social media venues and look at it to understand, how do people act on this platform? What is the best way to engage, and how do people engage? Because you want them to be looking at the things that you want them to look at, but most important, you want them to take the actions that you want them to take, and you've presented it in the way that it should be on each of the platforms. Now, we're going to take a short break again, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the actual marketing aspect of developing the materials and everything that you need to do your advertising and your communications. Thanks again.